and he didn't make any necessary adjustments. Coming in hot, Stephen A., was the Lakers blowout the biggest surprise of the weekend?
To me, it was only because of the blowout, not necessarily because of the loss. It was the fashion in which they lost. After going up 28-21, entering the second quarter, they got outscored 96-67 the rest of the way. They scored under 100 points. Obviously, they've done that 9 times this year. Shannon, what is the Lakers' record when they've scored under 100 points this season?
Probably 0.
They're 0-9. 0-9. They got the score. And so Minnesota knows this coming in, and they swarmed them all over the place. And LeBron James, let's call it what it is, he appeared passive. He wasn't his regular aggressive self. I know that he knows how to be deferential. He knows when to take over. He's the second greatest player in the history of the game. He knows what he's doing. But this past weekend, he seemed a bit passive. To say the least, and you can't afford to be that against Minnesota. Remember, Minnesota will hang their hat on their defense. They know they got Ant-Man. They believe they can score the ball. They showed that they can shoot some threes from time to time, whether it was Randall hitting 4 of 6, whether it was Mike Conley Jr., obviously Ant-Man doing his thing, Nas Reed getting off. We get that part, and Jaden McDaniels had a big-time game. Nobody expected him to have that kind of game offensively. Yeah. But nothing about them defensively surprised anybody. So if you're the Los Angeles Lakers and knowing how you have to really, really score points in bunches in order to be successful, you're going to have to figure out how to become more effective offensively in order to win this series. Because I got one last thing to say. Ant-Man is coming. Game 1 is nothing compared to what I think he's going to do in Game 2 and beyond. He's coming. You better be ready to deal with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think ultimately for me, the others have to step up. I thought Luka was so dominant, 37 points from the tip-off to the finish of the game, did a great job of leading his team, doing all he could to carry those guys. The other guys have to step up. Minnesota had 43 bench points, 23 of those by Nas Reed. The Lakers only had 13 bench points. That's not going to get it done. The other guys, obviously LeBron's going to be phenomenal. I think he'll have a great game, too. We've never seen him play like this in a long time. I think he has a great game, too. But the other guys, the Austin Reeves, the Hachimuras, Hayes only had 1 point. That's just not going to get it done when all of us pick the Lakers to win this series, obviously probably win Game 1 at home. Minnesota's coming into this series with a chip on their shoulder, with something to prove. People forget about the run that they had last year where they fell short to Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. They're coming in with something to prove. So the Lakers, others, the complementary pieces have to play better.
I agree. Dorian Finney-Smith needs to shoot the ball well. And that's what happens when Luka and LeBron do what they do. It's the others. Because I agree with everything you said, Booz. I don't think LeBron is going to play this bad. I still think LeBron is dealing with that groin injury. Because, Stephen A., if you notice LeBron, if the ball don't come to LeBron, if it's not in the framework of his body, he's not doing anything sudden because he doesn't want to run the risk. And, Booz, you've had groin injury, hamstring injury. You know suddenness is the worst thing you can have when you're dealing with a soft tissue injury. With that being said, look, Ant-Man is the assist total. It's the wide open looks. They were getting shoot-around threes, Stephen A. Yeah, these guys are too good. The guys are too skilled. They're not. I don't believe they shoot the ball this well again. I can let Ant get 30, let Ant get 40. But if you let him have 9 assists and you let these guys, Nas Reed, and you let McDaniel make 12, 13 threes, you're in trouble. LeBron, I think LeBron was too passive early because LeBron has always had the ability, I'm going to see what these other guys are going to do, and then I'll get going. But as you get older, you might need to get into a rhythm a little sooner, Stephen A., as opposed because he had 0 points in the first quarter. He had 10 in the second quarter. He had 3, and then he had 6 in the fourth. So he needs to get going probably a little early. Luka needs to Luka might need to get everybody else involved as opposed because we know Luka in the first half, either the first or the second quarter, he's going to get you somewhere between 14 and 18 points.
Well, first of all, I'm very, very proud of you for bringing up the fact that LeBron James didn't score a point in the first quarter. That's the first time that's ever happened to him in his playoff career. So the fact that you brought that up shows you have some shred of objectivity when it comes to this man. That's number one. Number two, I was at the game. I was there. You weren't. I wonder why. Lakers at 5. Whatever. That didn't happen. You were nowhere to be found after promising that you were going to be at that game. That's number two. Number three, Booz, did you notice how Shannon didn't bring up how LeBron James attacked the basket on several occasions but got his shot ejected? You understand what I'm saying? Because those trees were messed up. It wasn't a missed legs or whatever. Those shots got rejected. That's number 3. And last but not least, Molly, just so you know, I've been told that a couple of people made a call to the LAPD. I mean, say, you know,
Really?
there's an APB out for Rui Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith,
Oh, my goodness.
Gabe Vincent, all of these cats, Jared Vanderbilt. Do you know all 4 of them combined for 8 points on 3 of 11 shooting? 4 dudes combined for 8 points on 3 of 11 shooting. I could point to LeBron in the first quarter, just joking around. Luka Doncic couldn't be stopped, pick and roll situations. You couldn't stop him. He only had 1 assist, but he could score. They can't stop him. But how in God's name do you have 4 dudes that get PT and you combine for 8 points on 3 for 11 shooting? 4 guys. Come on, y'all. Y'all got to show up and help them brothers out. LA got to play better in game 2.
Yeah. I know someone else that needs to play better.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. And then Saturday night primetime, Lakers run off the court at home by the Timberwolves despite a hot start from Luka Doncic, who finished with 37. Where do you point the finger of blame, Booze, at the Lakers for their Game 1 loss?
I mean, as opposed to just saying, you know, the Timberwolves did their job, but for the Lakers, the others have to step up. Only 13 bench points, Greeny.
13 bench points for LA. It's interesting because the Minnesota bench players, their quote-unquote supporting cast, all had a pretty good game, or many of them had a pretty game. My old buddy Jalen Rose always used to say to me when we were doing NBA together, and always sticks in my head, the role players tend to play great at home. That's where you count on it. This time, it seemed to flip a little bit here. It was Minnesota that got the good performance from the quote-unquote other players.
Yeah, McDaniels was probably the best player on the court last night, did a great job. Naz Reid had 23 off the bench. The others from Minnesota showed up. This is a series where everybody picked the Lakers. We picked the Lakers too. Mm-hmm. Minnesota has a chip on their shoulder, and they're playing like they have something to prove.
Well, we know that Shannon Sharpe has picked the Lakers repeatedly and always in rhyming form. He does it in couplet form, and he's got them winning in 5. Well, Stephen A. watched the game on Saturday night, and he was giving Shannon the business. Take a look at the tweet here from Stephen A. Someone just texted me with this message to send directly to Shannon Sharpe. AAA, NWA, I don't care what Shannon has to say, Lakers ain't winning in 5. So let's start, Marcus, with your thoughts on how well that rhymed. And secondly, I will ask you that ever-popular question. Was this a bad game or a bad sign, Marcus Morris, for the Lakers?
I would say just a bad game, right? The others just didn't come to play. Anytime you get 48 points from Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid, something wasn't right in that scouting report, right? I just don't think guys were just amping up to play. You're playing at home in crypto arena. You just have to have more energy, like offensive rebounding, diving on the floor. The best bright part about it was Luka came to play, right? We've seen the Luka dominance, and LeBron James, we know how effective he could be in this series, but the others have to play better, and not just making shots, but just with more energy, more aggressiveness, and better on the defensive end.
Well, you're not the only one who noticed that the aggressiveness didn't seem to be there. Let's put up the Magic tweet, because Magic Johnson, one of the greatest Lakers of them all, and obviously still so much a part of what they're doing in L.A., tweeted, Coach J.J. Redick did a great job all season, but he didn't do a good job for Game 1. The Lakers stood around on offense, played too much one-on-one basketball, and he didn't make any necessary adjustments. Booze, when you see a team that got beat to the loose ball, is that on the coach? Do you point the finger of blame, at least for Game 1, at J.J. Redick?
I mean, the coach's job is to get the guys prepared for the game. Once you're on the court, it's the player's job. In my opinion, the players got to make the plays. The coaches can put you in position to have success, and get you prepared for the game. But if I see a ball on the floor and it's you and me, Greeny, I'm getting the ball. Sorry, right. Greeny. That's got to be the attitude of the guys out there on the court.
Yes. Well, if it's you and me, I'm not really worried about it. I would bet on you, too. But in general, when it's one NBA player against another NBA player, I mean, if the Timberwolves, quote unquote, well, if they looked ready for playoff intensity and the Lakers didn't, is that a bad sign?
That could be a sign on the coach. Did you have your guys ready for the game tonight? Minnesota looked ready. The Lakers did not.
Right. That's the concern. So, Marcus, give me one adjustment. What's one thing the Lakers have to do differently or better to win Game 2? Otherwise, they are in big trouble in round 1.
You have to respect the others. You know, like I said, 48 points from 2 guys that's not named Anthony Edwards is unacceptable, right? You have to play these guys straight up and down, but also, listen, they did differently in the regular season. This is the playoffs. Everything goes out the window. Scouting report goes out the window. You have to come out. You have to guard your yard. You have to play hard. You just have to match the intensity. So the one thing I would say is be ready. Be ready to fight.
They're going to find that out. Meanwhile, Friday, we've got a trio of NBA.
Xin chào các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng vòng net của bị sự của tiêu đề là quyền vở. Mọi người hôm nay vòng của con sẽ có tiêu đề là túi đỏ. Bây giờ mình bắt đầu làm nhé.
Do mày ý thì mà được cái gì mà cậu mới đặt lên biết email số điện thoại này nói của sao nào được vợ này